During brunch, my stepfather looked at my plate and said, "If you ate less, you might actually find a man." My mom didn't say a word. My sister sighed. "We've tried tough love. She doesn't listen." I stood up, took my plate to the sink, then said calmly, "Maybe it's time I stopped trying to be part of this family." The letter I sent that night changed everything. I was 29 when I finally realized my family didn't see me as a person. Not really. Maybe they never had. It happened during brunch. Just a normal Sunday at my mom's house. We weren't a close family, not really, but she tried to pretend we were. She liked her little routines. Brunch every few weeks. She'd set the table, put on soft music, pour 2 sweet orange juice into old glasses, and pretend everything was normal. I went because it felt easier than fighting. That day was the last time I showed up. It was me, my mom, my stepfather Greg, and my younger sister Allie. We were all there by 10:30. Mom made pancakes and eggs and had fruit in a big glass bowl like always. I sat down and did what I always do, kept my head down, smiled politely, tried not to say too much. They liked it that way. Me quiet. Me small. I'd only eaten half a pancake when it happened. Greg looked at my plate, then looked at me. He said, in his usual flat, bored voice, "If you ate less, you might actually find a man."
Just like that.
No emotion. No hesitation. He didn't even look up from his fork. I froze. My stomach dropped. I felt like a kid again, stuck in that house, trapped between the looks and the words and the quiet judgment. My mom didn't even glance at me. She just kept cutting her food like she didn't hear anything. Allie sighed. She didn't look surprised, just annoyed. She said, "We've tried tough love. She doesn't listen." Like I wasn't there. Like I was some case study they'd failed to fix. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I got up, took my plate to the sink, and rinsed it without looking at any of them. Then I said, "Maybe it's time I stopped trying to be part of this family." And I left. The car ride home was silent. I didn't even turn on the radio. I sat in my apartment for an hour afterward, staring at the wall, not sure if I felt sad or just empty. I wish I could say this was some shocking moment, but it wasn't. It had been coming for years. Greg married my mom when I was 13. My real dad left when I was 9, and for a while, it was just me, Allie, and Mom. I didn't love the idea of someone new moving in, but I wanted my mom to be happy. That lasted maybe 3 months. Greg was never violent. He was worse. He was mean in a quiet way. He'd comment on your clothes, your weight, your tone. Always smiling, always just being honest. At 14, he told me I was getting chubby. At 15, he said I was too loud and too emotional and that boys don't like that. When I got into college, he told me it wouldn't last, that I'd probably quit. When I graduated with honors, he didn't even show up to the ceremony. Said he was busy with work. My mom never defended me. Not once. If I cried, she told me I was being dramatic. If I pushed back, she said I was starting fights. Her favorite thing to say was, "Greg just wants the best for you. He's trying to help." And Allie, my sister, she learned fast. She figured out it was easier to agree with them. So she did. She became the golden child. The one who got praise. She did ballet and wore size 2s and went to church and smiled politely and rolled her eyes at me when Greg made his little jabs. At first, I thought maybe she just didn't know how bad it was. But over the years, it became clear. She liked being on his side. She liked being not me. Still, I kept showing up. Holidays. Birthdays.
Brunch.
Even when I hated it. Even when it made me feel sick. I thought maybe if I kept trying, if I played along, they'd see me. They'd finally see I wasn't the problem. But that brunch was it. Something broke. That night, I opened my laptop and wrote a letter. I didn't plan it. I didn't think it through. I just started typing. I told the truth. Not just about brunch, but everything. The comments. The silence. The years of pretending I wasn't being torn down in my own home. I wrote it all. Then I printed it out. Put it in an envelope. No name. No return address. Just dropped it in their mailbox on my way to work the next morning. I didn't expect anything. But I also didn't expect what came next. 2 weeks went by. Nothing. No one called. No one texted. I figured they'd just ignored it like they ignored everything else. Then my cousin Laura called me out of nowhere. We hadn't talked in over a year. She sounded weird, quiet, like she didn't know if she should even be telling me. She said she saw my mom at Aunt Sarah's house. Apparently, my mom brought the letter with her. Passed it around. Read it out loud like it was some joke. She always had a flair for drama, she said to the room. You know how she is. They all laughed. My aunts. Some cousins. Even Greg was there. Laughing. Shrugging. She's always been unstable, my mom said. She needs help. I didn't cry. I sat in my living room holding my phone, and I just felt nothing. Empty. The next day, I got a message on Instagram from someone I barely remembered.
Josh.
Ollie's ex from years ago. We never talked much. He was quiet, kind of awkward. He said, I read your letter. Allie left it on the table at her place once. I don't think she meant to. I just wanted to say, I believe you. Every word. That message sat in my inbox for 10 minutes before I could move. I read it 10 times. Then I finally broke down. Not because I was sad, but because someone finally said it. Someone finally saw it. They weren't embarrassed. They weren't sorry. They were mocking me. They'd taken my pain and turned it into gossip. That's when I knew I couldn't just walk away. They wanted to pretend I was the problem?
Fine.
I'd show them what the real problem was. And I knew exactly where to start. After Josh messaged me, I didn't reply right away. I just stared at the screen, stunned. Allie had left the letter out. Carelessly, like it was nothing. Like my truth was just something to toss around. And she was still talking to Josh? That didn't add up. I responded after an hour. I asked him straight up, why did you message me? He replied, because I've seen how they treat you. I saw it back then too. I didn't say anything. I should have.
I didn't know how to feel about that.
But something told me to keep the conversation going. We ended up talking for over an hour. He told me he dated Allie for 3 years. Said that during that time, she constantly compared herself to me in private. That she'd say things like, she gets attention for being a victim, or she makes everything about her pain. But the most disturbing part was when he said this. Your mom used to talk about you like you were some broken bird. She'd make fun of your body, your feelings, always with a smile. I just sat there breathing slow, holding my phone, trying not to cry. This whole time, I thought maybe I'd imagined how bad it was. Maybe I had been too sensitive. But now here was someone from outside the family, confirming it all. And not just confirming it, exposing that it had been even worse behind my back. Something in me snapped again. I decided I was going to do more than just send a letter. I started writing everything down. A timeline.
Dates.
Memories.
Things they said.
Things they did. I pulled up old messages, emails, even photos. I created a document and saved it in 3 places. I didn't know what I'd do with it yet, but it felt good to gather the truth.
Piece by piece.
Then I remembered something. My mom had once asked me to help her set up her Facebook. Years ago. I had created her password. I didn't think she ever changed it. I tried logging in. It worked. What I found made my skin crawl. There were dozens of messages between her and Greg, conversations where they talked about me like I was a burden. She's gained more weight again. She's going to die alone. She's lucky we even include her. But the worst part? My sister was in those messages too. In a group chat with both of them. Laughing. Calling me the emotional blob. Saying I was too dumb to know when I'm being mocked. 3 people I grew up with. People who shared Christmas with me. Birthdays. Hospital visits. Talking about me like I wasn't human. I took screenshots of everything. Hundreds. And I didn't stop there. I found more. Greg had messaged my uncle at one point saying he was trying to push me toward therapy, but she refuses to change. Like I was some broken project. Like my pain was his to control. I didn't reply to any of them. I didn't confront anyone yet. I just watched. Waited. Documented. Until something happened that gave me my chance. 3 weeks later, I got an email from my mom. Subject line. Can we talk? It was short.
Cold.
I think it's time we talk. Let me know if you're open to it. No drama.
I stared at it for a long time.
No drama. Like she hadn't been reading my letter out loud at family parties. But I didn't respond. Not yet. Instead, I printed out the screenshots. Put them in a binder. All of them. Messages.
Group chats.
Comments.
Dates. Times.
I made copies. Then I mailed them. One to my mom's house. One to my Aunt Sarah. One to Greg's workplace. He worked for a private law firm that bragged about values and integrity. And one to Ollie's University alumni group. She was part of the mentorship committee, constantly posting about supporting young women. I didn't write a note. I didn't sign anything. I let their words speak for themselves. That was just the beginning. I didn't care about forgiveness. I wasn't looking for peace. I wanted the truth out. They spent years building this lie that I was the broken one, the dramatic one, the weak link. So I decided to let everyone see who they really were. And the fallout came faster than I expected. 3 days after I mailed everything out, things started moving fast. First, Greg's firm contacted me. I didn't expect that. They sent a formal email from their HR department asking if I could confirm the authenticity of the screenshots. I hadn't signed anything, but I guess they connected the dots. I ignored the first message.
Then they called me.
The woman on the line, her name was Michelle, was polite but serious. She said Greg's messages had been reported internally. Something about misconduct and unprofessional behavior. Apparently, someone at his office had opened the envelope I sent before it reached him. I guess that was lucky for me. She said, I understand this is personal, but some of these messages reference confidential firm matters and use discriminatory language. I asked her if I needed to do anything.
She said, no.
We're handling it from here. I never heard from Greg directly after that. But 2 weeks later, I checked the firm's website. His profile was gone. Just gone. The man who spent years telling me I was useless had quietly disappeared from his job. That was the first real consequence. And it felt better than I thought it would. But it wasn't over. Not even close. Allie called me next. From a blocked number. I didn't pick up the first 2 times. But she left a voicemail. Her voice was shaking. She said, "What did you do?" I saved it but didn't respond. She messaged me the next day from a burner Instagram account. Said the alumni committee kicked her off. Said she was embarrassed and humiliated. That people were gossiping. She begged me to stop. But I hadn't even done anything public. I hadn't posted. I hadn't written a word online. All I did was give people the truth in private. If that was enough to destroy the image she built, maybe she didn't have much to begin with. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. Laura, my cousin, texted me out of the blue. Just one sentence. Have you talked to your dad lately? My real dad. The one who left when I was 9. I hadn't spoken to him in almost 20 years. We exchanged 2 emails when I turned 18, then nothing. I replied, "Why would I?" She said, "Because your mom told everyone you didn't want to see him, that you refused." That stopped me cold. I called Laura right away. I asked her to explain. Apparently, after my parents divorced, my dad tried to stay in touch. He sent cards,
Called.
even asked about visitation. But my mom told the family that I didn't want to see him, that I was angry with him, that I said he abandoned me and I wanted Greg as a father instead. That was a lie. A full, deliberate lie. My mom had told me he stopped reaching out because he had a new family now. She said he wasn't interested, that he moved on. And I believed her. I was a child. Now I was finding out he had tried, that he hadn't walked away from me. I'd been cut off from him. I asked Laura if she had his number. She sent it without hesitation. It took me 2 hours to gather the nerve to dial. When he picked up, his voice cracked the moment I said my name. "I thought you hated me," he said. That broke me. We talked for almost 3 hours. He told me everything. He showed me proof, emails, old letters he'd sent. My mom had returned some of them unopened. I felt sick. Years of my life lost over something I didn't even choose. He said he'd been following me quietly online. He saw that I graduated, that I worked in marketing, that I lived in the city. He said he was proud of me. He said, "I wanted to come find you so many times, but I thought you didn't want me." I told him the truth, that I'd been told he didn't want me. We cried, both of us. I wish I could say I felt healed after that. I didn't, but I felt clearer. My mom didn't just let me be emotionally abused. She isolated me. She kept me from my father. She made me believe I was unlovable and unwanted, when none of it was ever true. She didn't just fail me. She erased me. And now everyone was starting to see that. Even people in the family who used to side with her started reaching out. My Aunt Julia sent me an email. She said, "I think I owe you an apology." She admitted she'd always felt something was off but didn't want to get involved. That part hurt too. The silence. The people who stood by and said nothing. But the more the truth spread, the more cracks formed in their little perfect family image. And then one final twist came that made everything fall apart. My mom sent me a letter. A real, handwritten letter. 12 pages long. In it, she didn't apologize. Not once. Instead, she said I had destroyed the family reputation, accused me of embarrassing her publicly, and wrote, word for word, "You should be grateful Greg gave you structure. You were impossible before him." 12 pages. And not one sentence of regret. That was when I realized something important. They weren't going to change. They never would. But I had already changed. And soon, I'd show them just how much. After I read her letter, I sat on my couch for hours. 12 pages, handwritten, and not a single "I'm sorry." Not even a hint that she'd done anything wrong. Just more of the same voice I grew up hearing in that house. The same twisting of truth. The same way she always made me feel like I owed her something just for existing. I didn't cry this time. I didn't even feel sad. I felt tired. Like I was looking at a stranger's handwriting. That was the moment I stopped calling her my mom in my head. She had the title, but she'd never earned the role. I didn't respond to her letter. I put it in the same binder with all the screenshots and emails. I made a copy and gave it to my lawyer, because by then I had won. It started when Greg's firm contacted me again. But this time, they weren't asking questions, they were warning me. Apparently, Greg had been making statements that bordered on defamation. Things like she's mentally unstable and she forged those messages and she's trying to ruin my career for attention. I didn't have money for a lawsuit, but I wasn't going to let him keep lying about me. So I found a lawyer through a friend who did pro bono work for emotional abuse victims. She reviewed everything I had, letters, screenshots, voice messages, the binder. Her response, "They're the ones who should be worried." She helped me write a cease and desist letter. We sent one to Greg, one to my mom, one to Allie. It was calm, professional, and direct. It said, "Any further attempt to damage my reputation, share private messages, or contact me in a hostile or manipulative way will result in legal action." No more being the family punching bag. About 2 weeks later, I got an email from someone I never expected, Greg's daughter from his first marriage. Her name was Nicole. I hadn't seen her in almost 15 years. She wrote, "I saw what happened. I'm not surprised. I believe you." I remembered Nicole being quiet. She used to visit once a month when we were kids. I always thought she was cold. Now I realized she had just been scared. She told me Greg used to treat her the same way, insulting her body, making comments about her mom, talking down to her in front of people, then acting shocked when she got upset. She said, "When I turned 18, I cut him off. He told everyone I was ungrateful." She had her own stories. She'd never told anyone, but she told me now. We ended up talking on the phone for nearly 4 hours. It felt strange, connecting with someone who had lived a parallel version of my life. Different house, same monster. She also told me something I didn't know. Greg had been married before my mom, not once, but twice. Both women had cut off contact. One of them filed a harassment complaint years ago that quietly disappeared. None of that had ever been mentioned in our family. When I asked her why she was reaching out now, she said, "Because you did what none of us could. You exposed him. And people are finally listening." Then another message came, this time from someone in the extended family. My Aunt Helen, my mom's older sister. We were never close. She lived in another state and mostly kept to herself. But her message was different. She told me she believed me, that she'd always known something was wrong, that my mom had a long history of emotional manipulation, even as a teen. She said, when we were kids, she used to lie about everything. She lied to get out of trouble. She lied to make people look bad. She lied so often, it stopped feeling like lying. Then she added something else. "I think your mom was jealous of you." That stopped me cold. I never thought of it like that. But the more I sat with it, the more it made sense. The way she used to criticize my body when I was a teenager. The way she ignored my accomplishments but praised Allie for the smallest things. The way she made sure I never felt quite good enough, even when I was. She needed me to stay small so she could feel big. I used to think I was a disappointment. Now, I realized I was a threat to the version of herself she wanted the world to see. I wasn't just reclaiming my story anymore. I was unraveling theirs. Bit by bit, the truth was pulling apart the little myth they'd built. The perfect family image. The strong father, patient mother, difficult daughter, narrative they fed to anyone who would listen. And the more it fell apart, the more desperate they became. Then came the final warning sign that things were truly starting to break down. Ollie's ex, Josh, sent me a screenshot of a message she sent him. It said, "She's ruining my life. She wants to destroy us. I swear I'm going to make her regret this." That was when I knew she wasn't just embarrassed. She was angry, really angry. I'd stripped away her cover. And people like Allie don't handle being exposed. They lash out. I didn't know how or when, but I knew something was coming. I just didn't expect it to come from where it did. It came from HR, but not mine. I work for a mid-sized agency. Marketing and branding. I'd been there almost 5 years. Quiet worker, reliable, mostly kept to myself. I liked it. It felt safe. So when I got pulled into a quick meeting with HR and one of the partners, I didn't think anything of it. Until I saw the printouts on the table.
Tweets.
Posts from some anonymous burner account. All of them about me. Calling me a pathological liar, unstable, fired from 3 jobs, accused of stealing, even emotionally abusive toward her own mother.
Lies.
Pure lies. But written with just enough fake detail to sound believable to people who didn't know better. The HR rep looked uncomfortable. She said, "These were sent to a few of our clients. Anonymously." I felt cold all over. This wasn't random. This was retaliation. I said, "You know I didn't write those things, right?" She nodded slowly. "We don't believe any of it, but we need to document it." They asked if I knew who might be behind it. I didn't say Ollie's name at first. I hesitated. Part of me still didn't want to believe my own sister could go this far. But then I remembered the message Josh sent me. I'm going to make her regret this. So I handed over everything. The screenshots, the emails, the voicemail, the timeline. I laid it all out. It took almost 2 hours, and by the end, the partner looked disgusted. Not at me, but at them. He said, "We'll handle it. Don't worry." 2 days later, IT traced the burner account. Guess who it was?
Allie.
She was dumb enough to use her university email to register the account. One of the password recovery emails pinged back to her old inbox. The digital trail was short and clear. My workplace filed a formal report. They offered to help me get a restraining order. They also gave me paid leave. 2 weeks, no questions asked. They even offered legal support if I needed to escalate. That's when I finally realized this wasn't just a family falling apart. This was war. And Allie had crossed a line she couldn't come back from. While I was on leave, I started getting messages from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Old neighbors, childhood friends, even my old high school English teacher. They'd all seen the story. Not from me, but from others. People sharing what I wrote in private. People who passed along screenshots. People who had known something was off, but never saw the full picture. Now they did. And the ripple effect was spreading fast. Allie got dropped from her mentorship group permanently. Her job started reviewing her conduct. She posted a vague story on Instagram, something about false accusations and jealous sisters, but no one bought it. Greg's name was still off his law firm site. Someone told me he'd been quietly let go. No statement. No goodbye post. Just gone. My mom? She stopped showing up to family events. Laura told me she canceled Thanksgiving plans. She said too many people were taking sides. But no one had to take sides. The truth was loud all on its own. Then something happened that I didn't expect. Nicole, the other daughter Greg had abandoned, sent me another message. She said, "I've been talking to the first wife, the one before my mom." That shocked me. I hadn't even known there was a first wife. Nicole said she found her through an old mailing address, sent her a letter, told her what had happened, and she wrote back. She said Greg had been controlling, verbally abusive, isolated her from her own parents, took her money, gaslit her until she thought she was crazy. She got out when she caught him in a lie about a woman at his office. After that, he disappeared from her life, took off, moved states, changed jobs. She had no idea he had remarried, let alone twice. Now she knew, and she was willing to talk. I realized then that I wasn't just cleaning up my story. I was uncovering his. Years of it. 3 women. All lied to. All pushed aside. All told they were the problem. And me, the daughter, who was supposed to be grateful for structure. I wasn't just exposing my family anymore. I was gathering every truth they buried, one by one. And when I finally decided what to do with it, there would be no turning back. I took 2 more weeks to think. Not about whether I'd take action. That was decided. I just needed time to plan it right. What I had now was more than pain. I had facts. Proof. A timeline. 3 women from Greg's past. Messages. Screenshots. A 12-page letter from my mother that read like a confession, even though she didn't mean it that way. Ollie's fake account. Her failed attempt to smear me. All of it. But revenge isn't just about making people hurt. Real revenge is showing people exactly who they are and making sure they can never hide again. So I stopped hiding too. I wrote everything down in one long letter. Not to them. Not to my friends. To the world. I posted it online. Not Reddit. Not some anonymous forum. I put my name on it. My full name. With dates. Screenshots. Records. Evidence. I wrote about Greg, his abuse, his past wives, the messages, the firm, the things he said about me and others. I included statements from both Nicole and his first wife, who gave me written permission to use their words. They said he destroyed their confidence and left them to clean up the damage. They said they always felt alone until now. I wrote about Allie, how she helped mock me for years, how she sent fake lies to my job, how she called me unstable while building a public image of being an advocate for mental health awareness. I posted her burner account proof, the recovery email screenshots, her messages to Josh. I showed how someone so focused on empowering women was willing to destroy one behind the scenes. Then I wrote about my mom, not to destroy her, but to tell the truth. How she let a man raise me by tearing me apart. How she watched it happen and chose him again and again. How she blocked my father from my life. How she made me think he left because I wasn't good enough. I posted her letter. Every word of it. I didn't add drama. I didn't use fancy words. I just told the truth. People read it. Thousands. Then tens of thousands. Then more. It spread. People from Greg's law circle saw it. Women he worked with. He lost more than a job. He lost every connection that mattered to him. Someone from the state bar reached out to investigate his past conduct. I sent them everything. Ollie's world cracked fast. Her mentorship board issued a formal statement. Her job started a full HR investigation. Former ments commented on her social posts, asking why she lied. Some of them were girls she dismissed or belittled behind closed doors. Now, they had the full story. She tried to post a response video. She looked tired.
Thin.
Her voice was shaking. She said she never meant harm and was trying to protect her family. Nobody bought it, because the screenshot said otherwise. Then came the fallout I didn't expect. My mother called my phone 32 times in 2 days. I didn't pick up. Then she sent me a voicemail. Her voice was shaking. She said I had burned everything down, that I'd turned my own blood into a headline, that I had no right to air private things.
She didn't say sorry.
She just said I should have kept it quiet, because that's all she ever wanted. Quiet. Me quiet. My pain quiet. Her guilt quiet. I didn't call back. Instead, I mailed her the same letter I'd posted online, printed and bound, with her own quotes highlighted. On the last page, I wrote, "You wanted silence. This is what happens when you ignore someone for 20 years and expect them to keep swallowing it." That was it. A week later, my dad flew in. He hadn't seen me in over 18 years. We met at a small cafe near my place. When he walked in, he looked like he was holding his breath. I didn't cry when I hugged him. I thought I would, but I didn't. I just felt calm. He told me he'd read everything. Every word. He said he didn't know how deep it had gone, that he felt sick for not fighting harder. I told him I didn't blame him anymore. I blamed the ones who built the lie. We're still building trust.
It'll take time.
But he shows up. That's what matters. And me? I kept my job. Got promoted 6 months later. My boss told me I showed remarkable courage. I started therapy again. A different kind this time. Not because I was trying to fix myself, but because I finally believed I deserved help. The story stayed online. I never took it down. I still get messages sometimes. From people who say their stories feel like mine. People who never had the words before. That's the revenge. Not just that they lost, but that I'm not quiet anymore. They tried to make me small. And now the world sees them exactly as they are. Not strong. Not smart. Not loving. Just mean. Just fake. Just gone. And I'm still here. Speaking. Writing. Living. Without them. That's how it ends.